Have you ever seen this logo? You probably have. It's not exactly unknown by any means. Most people have seen a computer with this logo on it before. Either in real life or in media. You can see this logo appear in James Bond, in some anime. In the social network, Mark Zuckerberg has a laptop with this logo. And even more recently, I've seen it plastered over all sorts of Fruitiger Arrow and Y2K edits. I think most people know that whoever these guys are, they make computers. The brand that I'm talking about is VAIO, Sony's experimental venture into the computer market, known for its crazy futuristic designs, weird experimental computers, and a mouse that you can also use to talk on the phone. Oh, hello? This isn't that. This is just my normal mouse. I have wondered for a very long time what this brand's deal is. Why do people like it so much? Why do I see it everywhere? I was very much hoping to find a convenient 30-minute YouTube video telling me all about them, what kinds of things they made, and all kinds of fun, convenient facts. But when I looked, nothing. Not nothing. There are plenty of people here happy to talk about a single VAIO product in specific, but nobody did tell me how this brand came to be, or why all of their stuff looks so swanky for the time. So I guess I'm gonna have to do it. Because I want to know what this brand is, why it's so beloved by computer enthusiasts, and most of all, I want to know more about all of the crazy, weird stuff they made. And if you're here watching this with me right now, chances are you want to know that too. So let's find out, shall we? Starting, of course, with probably how they came to be. That seems like a good place to start. VAIO was founded by Sony in 1996 as Sony's brand new venture into computer manufacturing. Sony did make computers before this in the 80s, like this one, this super tall one for some reason, but none of these really stuck out or sold that well. So when computers were starting to become hot shit in the 90s, they decided to give it an entirely new shot, with a brand new subsidiary and a brand new name. To kickstart this brand new venture into the computer world, they appointed Teyu Goto as the lead brand designer. That's important because this guy is the guy who designed the PlayStation controller, the square, triangle, circle, X buttons that are on every single PlayStation controller, the UMD, the PlayStation 3 logo, and this logo for VAIO. The word itself was picked because in Japanese and English, it sounds kind of like the word bio, showing the brand's relation to the earth and trees and biology. The letters in VAIO are also an acronym for Video Audio Input Output, and that's just the word VAIO itself. Then we have the logo. This is such a cool fucking piece of text before any deeper meaning. I think as far as computer manufacturer logos go, this is definitely my favorite. You wanna know my least favorite? Gateway Computers. What the hell is this? Why is it a cow? Do you make computers or do you make fucking milk and cheese? Anyways, the VAIO logo also goes much deeper than meets the eye. The connected V and A are meant to be a sine wave to represent analog audio, and the I and the O are meant to be a 1 and a 0, symbolizing the merging of analog things like music and video with the digital binary world of a computer. I think that is just so neat. I love this logo so much. It's a masterpiece. But a logo is only as cool as the thing it is laser etched into. Now it's time to talk about the things that VAIO actually made. Starting with this guy. This was VAIO's first ever product. Not the prettiest thing in the world, especially compared to what VAIO would go on to produce later, but hey, you gotta start somewhere. This thing, although underwhelming comparatively, was still pretty unique compared to all the other guys in 1996. True to the VAIO philosophy, it came with a pre-installed sound card, a CD-ROM drive, which was not common in computers at the time, and its best feature. It, like all the other guys at the time, came in beige, boring computer beige, but on top of beige, it also came in purple!
What if it was purple?
This would become a bit of a staple for VAIO, having purple things among a lot of its products for years to come. There's even apparently a bit of a reason for this, because VAIO sounds kind of like Violet. That seems like a bit of a stretch though. I think they're just making shit up. So bright in here. I'm the worst vampire ever. On top of also looking pretty cool for the time, this guy is also notable because it ran this program called VAIO Space. Not just it. Lots of VAIO computers ran this. Anyways, described as a desktop replacement. This was a program that sat on top of Windows and was meant to act as a place you did most of your computer business. It had a built-in web browser, a video and music player, games, all within this virtual 3D cube interface. And I really like it. I don't know how practical it was running all of these 3D effects on a computer in 1996, but this is a really cool thing. A really cool attempt at a version of a desktop that isn't just a 2D mat with icons. It kind of reminds me of those 3D desktop programs that we saw in the Windows Vista era. Remember those? They would like turn your desktop into like a desk or like a deep pit of a drawer where you could drag around your icons in like a 3D space. I used to love these so much. I used to get so much bullshit on my mom's old computer. Those programs were most of the time just packed with malware and garbage, but this wasn't. VAIO Space was a really cool innovation, even if most people who used it just exited it to use regular Windows 95 in the end. This computer was only the launchpad for VAIO, and in the coming years after, they continued to make all sorts of desktops and laptops and t-shirts too, I think. I found this. Moving on to 1998. In 98, VAIO released this guy. The VAIO C1 picture book. It was called this for two reasons. One, because it was small and in the shape of a book and you could put it on your shelf. Oh, honey, where'd you put my laptop? Oh, it's on the top shelf next to Pride and Prejudice. I had to look up famous books for that joke. The second reason it was called picture book was for, well, the first word. Picture, because with the VAIO C1, you could take pictures of things, like your face. The VAIO C1 was the first ever laptop to have a built-in webcam. Technically. If you Google it, it says the ThinkPad 850, but that camera snapped on. It snapped on. It's not built in. Incorrect, Wikipedia. VAIO was the first to have a camera built into a laptop that could not be taken out or off. This seems like such an obvious thing to do today. Like, what do you mean it took till 1998 for them to think of putting a webcam in a laptop? But in 1998, not a lot of people were taking photos with webcams. There was no Mac photo booth. There was no Skype. There was no Omegle. The intention of the webcam in the picture book was to send videos in emails, which I guess you could do, but again, it's gonna take forever to load and it's just gonna sound like this.
Hey man, I was just wondering if you wanted to go bowling with me. I was thinking this Thursday, it sounds like a good bowling day.
Still though, ahead of its time. You cannot get a laptop without a webcam these days. It was setting the trends. These VAIOs up to this point are certainly cool for sure, but they are not the designs most people remember VAIO for. VAIO really hit their prime in the 2000s. Once the 2000s rolled around, everybody started going crazy. And not just because of the recent events. Most computer manufacturers began shifting to more sleek, metallic, translucent designs. And VAIO was at the cusp of that transition. But VAIO also started really fucking around in the 2000s, making some extremely interesting experiments and, in all honesty, freaks of nature. Some computers that really make you go, what the hell is that? But in a good way. What the hell is that? Affectionate. Like, look at this thing. The VAIO MX. Looks pretty normal at first glance, right? Looks like a pretty normal computer. But then you look a little longer, and what's this? Why is there a car stereo deck inside this desktop computer? Well, that's because there is a car stereo inside this desktop computer. From 2001, this is the VAIO MX. Half computer, half stereo system. Hold on, I need to refill my mason jar of water. I love mason jar water. What's your favorite cup to put water in? Leave a comment below. What the hell are we talking about? This is a computer with a CD and mini disc player and burner, an FM radio inside, and an entire dedicated screen for all of that. These work independently of the computer too. With the computer powered off, you can still play media, play the radio, all from the LCD screen, which looks so nice. I love this thing so much. It's not just built into the computer for no reason though. Pre-installed on these guys is a program called MX Stage, a proprietary program you can use to control the stereo system from the computer. You can play CDs or mini discs, adjust the FM radio, and you can even record the FM radio inputs to put on a CD or mini disc Or maybe upload to that one fruit program. I think it was called Lemon String? Or maybe Sleepster? There are a few weird programs that came on a lot of different VAIO computers. There was VAIO Wallpaper Maker, where you could make your own wallpapers. There was this one game called Sapari, which was like a virtual world type thing from 1997 with these fun little cats. There was this one program that would cycle your wallpapers on a day-night cycle. That's actually where these iconic, famous VAIO wallpapers come from. I'm sure you've seen these around. Pacom. Hold on, my cat meowing. You want to be famous, cat? Look, look. Famous cat. Oh, no. Sorry. The VAIO MX came in two different versions, one from 2000 and one from 2001. 2000's orange screen is pretty nice, but that 2001 version, with that reflective front and the turquoise screen, ugh! I love this one so much. If I had one, I would put it at the front door of my house and make everybody look at it when they came in. They were putting those designers to work at the beginning of this millennium. This is another VAIO from that same year in 2001. To say this is just another VAIO computer, though, wouldn't do it justice. Because this guy is one of the most iconic of any. This is the VAIO QR. There's not anything particularly noteworthy about this guy. There's no weird hidden features. There's no stereo system built in. It's just a pretty regular laptop doing regular laptop things, but in absolute style. Look at how glossy and reflective it is. In 2001, nobody had really caught up to this yet. There was Apple's iBook G3 up there with it, but most Windows computers were still pretty gray. It also came with these little Beats pill-shaped speaker things that attach to the sides, and like, I love that. Little ears. It has little ears. That's so fun. I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy for computer ears. But that's so fun. It has little ears. Why not? Why not put detachable speakers on the side? I don't know how practical that is, but it certainly is fun. This just screams Y2K. It's beautiful. I mean, look at the keyboard even. The keys are round, and look at this font. Oh, look at those letters. That's a healthy fucking dose of Y2K-ism. Whatever that means. This is actually the second version of the QR2. There was also an edition in 2000 that was pretty similar, but in black and with a fucking handle. Carry it like baby. This version could also come with an external floppy disk drive that looked so cool and had little feet. That's so cute. It's got little feet that it stands on. Like, these are just such cool looking machines. I wish they kept using this reflective round edges design for a bit longer. I would have loved to see a desktop or a monitor that looked like these. Here is my fan art for what that would have looked like. I love these, but they weren't everybody's cup of tea back then. They're so pretty, but they're still pretty big, bulky laptops that not everybody's looking for. Some people are just looking for something even bigger! Feast your eyes upon the VAIO W, a desktop computer from 2002 cosplaying as a laptop. This guy is an all-in-one computer with a hinged keyboard at the bottom, a gigantic screen, speakers on each side, and RCA connectors? I can plug my Wii into this thing? Yes, you literally can. The VAIO W was meant to be a solution to households that didn't have space for a computer and a TV, merging the two into one device. That might not surprise you based on the look of it. It does look like a TV somebody bolted a keyboard onto. It has many ways to do TV functions. It has a DVD player, ports for RCA, and also an entire built-in TV receiver. You could plug in your existing TV equipment or a Wii, or watch DVDs, or watch live television, all contained inside a program in Windows XP. So you could literally be watching SpongeBob or Friends on this bad boy, whilst playing Roller Coaster Tycoon or Neopets or whatever you ancient people did in the 90s. This big guy ran from 2002 to 2004 and came in a couple different variations. My favorite of which is this one. Because on this one, when the keyboard folds up, it'll keep the top of the screen on to show you relevant information like the time, the song you're currently playing, or wide Putin GIF, probably. You could probably get it to do that. Another computer released around the same time as Big Michael over here was this, the VAIO U1.
You won.
A square little laptop with square buttons and no trackpad. No little cursor nub between the keyboard? How to control such a machine? Great question that I'm assuming you asked. This is another VAIO experiment to combine things together, but instead of a TV or a stereo system, this guy is half laptop, half Nintendo 3DS. You are meant to control this with your thumbs, holding it like so, using your right thumb to move the cursor and using your left thumb to hit these two buttons for left and right click. That seems like a pretty awful way to interact with the internet, Windows, clicking on things in any regard, and pretty much any activity, except a Dolphin emulator with Metroid Prime for GameCube. Now that would be peak mobile engineering. Maybe. That game did come out the exact same year as this. Someone who has one of these should try that though. If you have one of these, try to run Metroid Prime for GameCube on it, please. Leave a comment if it worked or not, or if it blew up. I'm sorry if it blew up. You want to know another device you probably couldn't play Metroid Prime on? This next one. When I was talking about a computer that is a freak of nature before there, this is the one I mainly meant. Look at this thing. Do you think God created that? This is the VAIO GT, another one of VAIO's sick crossbreeding experiments, and probably one of my favorites. This VAIO machine is a laptop combined with a snack tube that can be used to store your snacks in. It's not. But did you believe me for even just a second? This guy is actually a laptop combined with a camcorder. The oblong cylinder stuck to the side of it is a camera lens, which along with the screen can be rotated 360 degrees and pointed any which way. So it can be pointed up at you, or something in front of you. You can collapse it to hide the keyboard too, so all you have to look at is just your beautiful subject. Hey, what's up? I'm normal now. On the screen, if you did collapse the keyboard, there were all kinds of buttons for camera controls, and if you really wanted to get fancy, it has a screw hole for all kinds of camera accessories, like tripods, or mini tripods, or gorilla tripods, or Yeah, I guess just pretty much tripods. Or maybe you could screw on a tube for a snack. There you go, I wasn't lying. I don't know why I want snacks on my computer so much. It would just be kind of cool. This thing is really weird though. Its purpose wasn't even for photography or home movies or funny emails or a picture of a guy drooling. It was created by Sony for a different reason. This thing came out in the year 2000 along with a brand new Sony project called Poopiest TV. This was like a live streaming Twitch type site, but from the year 2000, where you could directly put up a video stream of your face or a wedding or a weird bug, so long as you have the camera plugged directly into your computer. This was a very interesting first attempt at streaming by Sony. There were no overlays, there was no OBS. I don't even think there was a desktop video capture. I'm pretty sure you could only stream the raw video feed from your camera. It's really weird. It's a really interesting rabbit hole. As far as I know, this was the first ever attempt at live streaming video on a website over the internet. They created the VAIO GT to be a one-stop shop for this website, as a camera and a little XP computer all in one. So bright in my room. Forgot I was a vampire. If you want to know more about this Poopiest TV, I would recommend giving this video by Cathode Ray Dude a watch. He talks about everything you could ever want to know about the GT, Poopiest TV, and he takes the GT out on a little nature walk photography shoot. And he uses the most beautiful, tranquil music I have ever heard in a tech review video. Look at this. This is another experiment from the 2000s that was not a computer. This is the VAIO Mouse Talk. It's a mouse that's also a phone. Huh? This is a mouse that plugs into your computer, and when you get a call on your computer, you can unflip it and answer. Hello? Yes, I am talking to you on my computer mouse. Huh? What do you mean evicted? That's so fun! Like, what? This was part of the whole VoIP calling from back in the day. Voice over Internet Protocol. It was basically just like calling over the internet. Skype had a bit of integration with it for a bit. It never really took off once like other ways to talk over the internet came out. But there was like a little period there where people were trying to make weird phones that plugged into a computer. And this is one of those. That's so fun. Anyways, moving on to a real computer now. I know what you're thinking. These VAIO computers are all really cool, but I wish they made one that I could shove underneath my door. You know the MacBook Air, the laptop built with the express purpose of being the most light and thin laptop ever created, right? Well, 4 years before the MacBook Air, in 2004, VAIO made their own MacBook Air with a way shittier name. This is the VAIO X505, the thinnest laptop you could get at this point by far. It is actually fucking crazy how thin this guy is. At its thickest point, it is only 2.1 centimeters. That's 0.82 hamburger measurement for you Americans. That's about the same thickness as a macaroni noodle, a thumbtack, this grasshopper I found in my yard. To put it in perspective, the latest Apple laptop available at that point was the iBook G4, which came out the same year and was 3.4 centimeters. It was also extremely light due to being made partially of carbon fiber, giving it such a sleek look. I love it so much. On top of being so thin, it just looks so cool too. You might think with all that thinness you'd sacrifice some performance too, but it's quite the contrary. This was apparently a very powerful computer for its time. The only drawbacks were its 2-hour battery life and the loud snapping sound you'd hear if you left it on the couch and sat on it. I don't actually know how durable these were, but it would be very especially sad if you were to break it, because to get one in the first place back in the day would have run you $3,000 USD. Adjusted for inflation, that's $5,000. That might seem like a lot, but tell me, can your laptop do this? The early 2000s was such a cool era of design for VAIO, where they really seem to have garnered their reputation for their chic, futuristic designs. They were expensive, but they were almost always the most classy computer you could get, which kind of reminds me of a different company, you know? One with maybe a little more fruit in its logo, perhaps? Aw, hell yeah, brother. I was just thinking, they remind me so much of Del Monte. You can draw a lot of parallels of Apple to VAIO. They both cost a lot of money. They both make very sleek, very innovative designs of technology. It seems like back in the day, VAIO was very much the Windows equivalent of Apple computers. And I'm bringing these similarities up for a reason, because I'm not the only one to ever notice them. Steve Jobs also had an affinity for VAIO computers. macOS, the operating system, is pretty iconic for only running on Apple computers, but there was a time Steve Jobs almost made one exception. In 2001, Apple decided to switch Mac processors to Intel, a decision that was very, very big at the time. In the process of doing that, they were using various Intel-based Windows computers to test and develop an Intel version of Mac OS. One of these computers they were using to test on was apparently a VAIO laptop. According to this recollection of a former Apple employee on Quora, I know, not the most reputable of sources. Apparently, Steve Jobs liked the look and design of the VAIO laptop so much, he took the internal one they had running macOS all the way to Hawaii, where some Sony executives were vacationing at the time, and showed them the first ever publicly seen Windows laptop running macOS, and made them an offer to let them ship VAIO laptops running macOS. Huh? What? Like, oh my god. That just speaks volumes to the influence and the coolness of VAIO's designs in this era. That Apple found them on par enough with the elegance of their own Macs to trust them with the reputation of their own Mac OS. The Sony executives ended up turning him down, and VAIO laptops have only ever run Windows ever since. But still, like, what a crazy fever dream this could have been. We were one decision away from this. What a strange world that would have been. Anyways, on to the mid-2000s. 9/11 had come and gone. The Backyardigans had just made its premiere, and all kinds of computer companies were working on how to get computers to fit into some jean pockets. VAIO, however, was the only one to successfully shove one in there. What I mean by this is every computer manufacturer was trying to make smaller and smaller versions of computers, with things like Blackberries, Palm OS computers, Windows mobile phones. There were all kinds of attempts and experiments in this era with how to take a computer completely mobile in your hand. And VAIO was right in there with everybody in this era, creating all kinds of weird and unique experiments of computers. Like this one right here. Or wait, no. Or is that just a piece of aluminum? Or no, that is an entire computer. This is the VAIO U50 from 2005. VAIO's first attempt at a small little computer that you could take on the go with you. And it kind of looks like shit. It's a fine little microcomputer. It was VAIO's first attempt at making something without a keyboard. But did it have to look like that? I really don't like this thing. Pretty much the only reason I'm bringing this thing up at all is because I hate the design of it so much. This is the same company that made this, and this, and the one with the tube. I don't know. Maybe electronics that look like iron ingots were just in style in 2005. I was only 4. But I just think they could make a mini computer that has a little more sauce to it. And thank God they thought so too. Because 2 years later, in 2007, they made this. The VAIO UX. This is very clearly a distant relative of the VAIO U50. Building on the foundation it set, and actually consulting the design team this time. This thing is so nice. This is my favorite VAIO device of the entire video. If you've seen my other video about cell phones of the 2000s, you might have heard me talk about this thing before, and if you haven't seen that video, go watch it. Go watch it, maybe. Or don't. It's okay. But I'm bringing it up here too, because it's one of the most iconic devices in the entire VAIO lineage. I love this thing. Oh my god, look at how bright my stuffies are. Oh my god, they're white. I can't see. I forgot it was a vampire. The UX was, again, meant to be a full desktop Windows experience that you can take on the go with you. It, like its little brother, has zoom buttons, a cursor nub, a touchscreen, but this one slides up like phone. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. That's just so cool to me. Slidey cell phones are already one of the coolest things in tech. Having an electronic go from one form to another is just so cool. You could also dock it in a little dock with full peripherals and a monitor attached, so it could be kind of like a little Windows XP Nintendo Switch. This was a really neat device. The UX was the last of the U lineup. After 2007 and the release of the iPhone, most experiments of mini pocketable computers like these went by the wayside in favor of smaller, less capable touchscreen devices instead. But they did make one last weird experimental computer in 2009 with the VAIO Type P. What now? The Type P was a little tiny computer kind of similar to the original VAIO C1 we talked about earlier. It's a little rectangle computer with no trackpad, just a cursor nub, a widescreen display that was apparently pretty high resolution, all in a form factor that fits nicely into your ass pocket. This is a real image from the marketing. They wanted you to put this in your ass pocket. This thing was a part of the whole netbook movement. Remember that? There is a chance you were perhaps born the same year that the term netbook was coined. So if that's the case, I'll give you a quick little recap. Netbooks were basically smaller, less expensive, and less powerful laptops. They were meant for more basic things like Googling or Facebooking or spider solitaring, along with being more portable than a bigger laptop. The VAIO Type P was meant to be a netbook that you took with you. You saw it, it fits right in your ass pocket. It had GPS, full 3G SIM card support. It had a custom XMB menu, like on the PS3, to more quickly swap between songs or media on the go. It was meant to be used for all of the things that you would use your smartphone for today, except everyone was already using their smartphones for all of those things back then too. The iPhone, by this point, had already been out for 2 years, and smartphones at large were only getting more and more capable. Again, like I talked about with the UX a whole bunch, I love this thing. It is such a cool looking little hard candy shell device. I would have definitely loved to have one of these guys back in the day. The idea of having an itty bitty little computer running desktop Windows that you just take around with you everywhere is a really cool idea. But by 2009, when the Type P came out, not many people were in need of an ultra mobile computer like this anymore. That, paired with the fact that apparently these didn't run that well, made not a lot of people give the Type P a try. And that made Sony not really want to give any more experimental VAIOs a try, because this is the last cool and unique VAIO computer they ever made. By the early 2010s, it seems like VAIO was a shell of the company they used to be. They still made computers, but after the Type P, they never made any cool or experimental computer again. Any of the mainline computers they did make are fine. These are all passable computers, but none of them are cool. I would never make a video dedicated to any of these. At this point in the early 2010s, they were kind of just another generic laptop manufacturer like any other. And that's probably a big reason why in 2014, Sony decided to sell 95% of the VAIO company to private equity firm Japan Industrial Partners. From there, as a standalone company, they made a few laptops. They tried to make Windows phones for a bit and a couple Windows 8 tablets, but really these are just generic laptops with the VAIO logo slapped on there. Squiggly letter reflections of a time gone by. In 2024, Japan Industrial Partners announced they were selling their portion of VAIO to the company Najima Co. And today, they continue to just make normal-ass, generic laptops in gray, black, and dark white with nothing special about them. So what happened here? How did this crazy, amazing company who made all of this cool stuff over here, loved by computer enthusiasts and even the likes of Steve Jobs, to becoming just another gray, bleak computer manufacturer completely abandoned by Sony? Why did they stop making cool things? Well, of course, who knows for sure? Not me. I'm having enough trouble as it is just keeping the facts of these computers straight. But I do have a few ideas. First off is money. Almost all of the computers that I've talked about today all costed over $1,000 US. That's a lot of money today. Back then, that was even more of an amount of money. Money that not everybody wants to dish out for a computer. And that's the other reason, I think, for their downfall, is excitement for computers. In the late 90s and early 2000s, computers were the new booming thing. They were getting crazier and crazier with each passing year, and there were people excited enough about them to buy crazy $2,000 stereo computers. As the years went on and computer progress and all-around excitement decreased, I would assume less people were willing to splurge such high amounts of money on weird, novel computers. The last reason for their decline, I think, is just placement of resources. VAIO was the name all of these computers went under, but at the end of the day, it was Sony pulling all the strings and making all the decisions here. They could have transitioned VAIO into a smartphone company when that boom started, but they had other companies already to make smartphones under. Ultimately, VAIO was Sony's computer company, and computers, especially cool, expensive computers by the 2010s, just weren't in fashion anymore. That's the reasons I think for why VAIO eventually stopped making all of this crazy stuff. But I don't know for sure. I'm not some company analyst. I'm just some guy who really likes the look of these now 30-year-old computers. Today, at least to me, they're kind of just this mysterious idea that you see echoes of in media and futuristic collages. Echoes of a different time when the idea of what a computer was still unfolding. When the future could have gone in any direction. And when you could have a mouse that was also a phone. Thank you so much for watching my 30-minute video about me yapping about computers from almost 2 decades ago. I really appreciate it. What do you think about all of these weird, strange devices, though? Were you around back then? Did you own and use one of these guys back in the day? Or are you like me and never lived through their existence and just think they're neat? Whatever the case may be, if you have any thoughts at all, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about any and all VAIO things. I read every single comment up to about like 4 days after the video's out, then it's like every 7th comment, but still quite a bit. Have such a lovely evening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!